We need to discuss some of the tactics that the British did and some of the promises and treaties that they engaged in during this war to show us the reality of what post-World War I will happen. And there are three primary promises that we're interested in. There are three primary correspondences and promises that we're interested in. Number one, the promises to the Arabs. The British promise to the Arabs. Beginning in July 1915, the British High Commissioner of Egypt. Now, who's the High Commissioner? High Commissioner is basically higher than an ambassador. He's like a governor who represents the British interests in that region. So he is the highest ranking British diplomat in the entire Middle East. And Egypt was already basically a British protectorate by the time. So the British High Commissioner in Egypt, his name is Sir Henry McMahon. Sir Henry McMahon. He is the one who starts thinking of different tactics of sending T.E. Lawrence as well. And Sir Henry McMahon begins a series of correspondences with the Sharif of Mecca. Who is the Sharif of Mecca? We have a picture of the Sharif of Mecca over here. Sharif Hussein ibn Ali, the Sharif of Mecca. And the Sharif of Mecca is the 40th descendant of the Prophet ﷺ. This is a picture of somebody who is directly descendant of our Prophet ﷺ. He is the 40th descendant of our Prophet ﷺ. Him and his family have been ruling Mecca for over 700 years. 700 years. They have been the governors of Mecca. Under the Abbasids, under the Mamluks, under the Ottomans, they kept the Sharif clan out of respect for them because they are, after all, Sharif means Sayyid. Sharif means, for us, Sayyid, it means Al al-Bayt. Sharif means they are of the family of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And they have been a local power, really, to be honest, more than maybe like 1,000 years they have been in the in politics, basically. And they are the most prestigious of all Arab rulers and the only Arab ruler who might be a threat to the Ottomans. Because after all, he's Sharif and he's the governor of Mecca. So he's got the blood and he's got the geography. And he's got the history, and that's a 1,000-year history, right? So if anybody is going to be a unifying force for the Muslims against their Khalifa, you understand? Divide and conquer here, right? If there's anybody whom the Muslims could possibly be bribed into accepting as an alternative Khalifa, it would be this man, Sharif Hussein ibn Ali. And therefore, Sir McMahon, Henry McMahon, began a series of correspondences, and T.E. Lawrence became a personal friend to Sharif Hussein, a family friend, literally a family friend. He becomes on a first name basis to Sharif Hussein and his three sons. And the Sharif, of course, now, yes, he is Al al-Bayt, but we had mentioned in our lecture, just because you're Al al-Bayt doesn't mean you are automatically an angel or a saint. And the Sharif had ambitions of his own. And he had wanted to be the Khalifa for many years, even before World War I. We now have records of him pre-World War I sending messages to the Brits that this is pre-World War I, that, if you want, you can kind of help me and we can work something out against the Ottomans, right? Now, the Brits at the time had no need for this man, so they just ignored it. But now, the idea comes up again. And the Brits basically bribe, not just by money, but most importantly, what is the bribe that is really far more powerful than money? It's power. It's power. That is the most powerful bribe a man knows. Power. They promise the Sharif that if you fight against your fellow Muslims, if you rebel against your Khalifa, and that is the Ottoman Sultan, we will make you the next Caliph. And we will give you a united Arabia. By Arabia, we don't mean Saudi Arabia. We mean the Arab lands, Damascus, Baghdad, everything in between, Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, everything. Arabia, you shall become the Khalifa of a united Arabia. And they continue to convince him until finally it is now set in stone. And we have to point out here that yes, we're angry at the foreign powers, at the West, at England. We're angry at the double dealing. But in the end of the day, they used us against ourselves. In the end of the day, we have to put the blame where also it lies. And Muslims are also guilty, just like every other party is guilty. And we have to acknowledge the greed and the power struggles on all sides. And here we have a copy of one of those letters. If you take a look at it on your slide, this is a copy. If you look at the date, can you see the date on there? October 24th, 1915. I want you to read this, that subject to the above modification, Great Britain is prepared to recognize and support the independence of the Arabs in all of the regions within the limits demanded by the Sharif of Mecca. Notice, very clear here. This is the original letter, by the way. You see Henry McMahon, you see the signature. This is the original letter. Great Britain will guarantee the holy places, and Great Britain will give the Arabs her advice and assistance, and I'm convinced this declaration will assure you beyond all possible doubt of the sympathy of Great Britain towards the aspiration of her friends, the Arabs, and will result in a true and lasting alliance, the immediate results of which will be the expulsion of the Turks from the Arab lands and the freeing of the Arab people from the Turkish yoke, which for so many years has oppressed them so heavily. So, McMahon, with obviously the approval and the knowledge of the British government, they promise Sharif Hussein ibn Ali that if he revolts, the British will give him a united Arab land, and he will be made the next Khalifa from Iraq to Turkey to Syria to the Hijaz. And the Arabs took this as an official promise from England. And based on this promise, the Sharif launched a war against the Ottomans. Not against the Brits, against the Ottomans. And the Brits, under the command of T.E. Lawrence, would literally tell the Sharif's forces, attack here, attack there, do this, do that. And now if you watch the movie Lawrence of Arabia, now if you watch the movie with this background in mind, you will see exactly this is what Lawrence does. That he's the one who has the idea, let's attack Aqaba, let's do this, let's do that. Now the Brits are telling the Arabs where to attack against the Turks for their best interest. And the primary line of attack was the railroad that connected the Ottoman lands to Arabia and to Jordan. They wanted to minimize, because railroad is the highway. If you cut off the highway, you're not going to get troops, right? And so, even though the Arabs were not that effective in terms of army, they were effective in terms of destroying the railroad, in terms of bombing, the lines and whatnot. And therefore, the Arabs took this as the promise that if we fight against the Ottomans, we will be given our united Arabia. And T.E. Lawrence, or Lawrence of Arabia, was the one who was put in charge of this Arab revolt. Now, a little bit of footnote about Lawrence. Lawrence's role has been sensationalized and made larger than life by an American journalist. His name was Lowell Thomas from Chicago. He was visiting the lands and he found this Britisher dressed like an Arab, speaking Arabic, and he kind of made it far more romantic. He's the one who gave him the title Lawrence of Arabia. It's a very romantic view of an Englishman fighting for Arab independence. He basically painted it in a very positive light. We cannot forget that T.E. Lawrence, in the end of the day, is a British agent provocateur, right? We should not have much sympathy at all for T.E. Lawrence, even though there's no denying that Lawrence believed in his own cause, which is Arab independence. But when Lawrence found out about the other two agreements that we're going to mention right now, guess what? He didn't tell anything to the Arabs. And he continued promising them that which he knew his own government had already agreed elsewhere. Is that clear, or did I lose you guys? T.E. Lawrence figured out there are other agreements my government has made. We're going to talk about them right now. But he still continued to promise the Sharif and his family all of these promises, even though when World War I came to an end and the negotiation was being done, it is true Lawrence did fight the British verbally for an Arab independent state, but he was outruled and outvoted, and he basically abandoned the Arab cause and went back and died in an automobile or a motorcycle accident. Perhaps he felt guilty about the Arab cause, but there's no denying that he was a double agent, meaning that he knew exactly what his own country had promised, and he pretended to be a friend to the Sharif, but he continued fighting on behalf of England and telling the Sharif lies that he knew were lies. He did feel guilty most likely, but so what? In the end of the day, he continued doing what he did. So this is the first backhand deal. It's called the McMahon Promises, or it's also called the McMahon-Hussein Correspondence. We have physical letters. I showed you one actual letter. Very clearly, the Arabs are promised complete independence. You will become the Khalifa if you fight against the present Khalifa. This is the first backhand deal.